At first, like I thought it was like really like a kid's game due to the fact it's like really animated, you know. But I don't know. It felt so rewarding when I started playing ranked. Like that's my highlight. Like I went like first season to Platinum 1. Like that was the most fun thing ever. Like just grinding through the ranks is the most fun thing.
You could be putting a lot of damage now, and you have to remember.
If you're a beginner, don't give up, because this game looks really difficult at first, but when you get into it, it's gonna be heaven.
I do like a bit of spice. I do like a bit of spice to warm up before this show, before this matchup here. Tricked versus MNM. This is going to be an interesting one. Let's start with Tricked, and I think we can delve into MNM a little bit later on. But let's start with Tricked. Where to even begin? I think Eren has been a big talking point for Tricked here. So let's start with him and kind of focus on a very, very, I think, promising mid laner.
Yeah, I mean, the fascinating thing for me about Eren is how much pressure he absorbed yesterday, and yet still found the windows to go and dive bot to go help out the map no matter what. We know what this guy's like under pressure. He's still a force to be reckoned with in the early phases of the game. This guy wants to have as much impact as he can from level 1 onwards. We've seen him do some very, very crazy creative paths, and even without his jungler unlocking him and against some otherwise insurmountable odds, he's very willing to sacrifice in a way that other mid laners aren't. I'm very excited to see what he does today. We can assume that he'll get the breadth for the lane, and we'll probably see like the full view of Eren here, but he's one of the most exciting prospects I've seen in the NLC so far.
And I'm extremely curious to the drafts as well, because I feel like every time we see Tricked, something new is going to come out. Like, we've seen the Azir up towards the top side. We've seen the set swapped into the mid lane, and they just went on with the Six and Shyvana for that kind of poke composition. It seems to me every time we talk about these drafts, they're just like mad lad drafts right here. And I feel like it's not only just a kudos to how you're actually just able to pick champions, because wow, you did it. It's also just how the players are actually able to adapt to anything that's just being thrown at them, and that adaptability to Trick for me is so interesting.
Yeah, and it does make me a bit concerned for MNM as well, because we've seen Monk in particular punished in the draft phase, either targeted heavily on his comfortable picks or set up in his previous match where they had a recipe to deal with the Azir. And I think mid is going to be instrumental for their success. Aesthetic has shown that he can take over games if given the priority to do so. We saw that last split in the Nordics, even in game 1 when he wasn't pressured heavily within the jungle by Maxlaw, and even in the game yesterday where they looked really rough, he still was having an okay game. I think ultimately if he has the lanes to facilitate him and mid is the most instrumental, we could see an Aesthetic who can actually challenge this Trick lineup, but it's a big ask, especially up against Eren.
Yeah, and go.
Yeah, and I mean, just in general, the way that it's been looking, as Orcs is pointing out, it is a big task. And even when he got ahead on the jungle, let's not forget that we're thinking back on the Maxlaw game when Maxlaw was playing extremely selfless, so it was easier for him to get ahead. Now his lanes actually need to be able to facilitate him if Aesthetic wants to do what Aesthetic does. And the question is, are we finally going to see MNM that's not behind the rest of the pack? Are we finally going to see an MNM that caught up after having done so many mistakes? Because the more mistakes you make, the more you can learn. So I hope they're good learners over at the side of MNM.
But like, speaking about MNM, is the other side of the coin here. We've talked a lot about maybe what they can do in terms of keys to success, but it seems to me, and especially when we've kind of talked about post-match analysis, it goes wrong from the get-go. It goes wrong from draft. And like, let's talk about that for an instance. Where does MNM need to start? What do they need to look for in terms of priority, and what suits their playstyle or their potential playstyle based on the players that they have veteran?
It's an incredibly difficult question to answer, because thus far we haven't really seen any sort of specific playstyle work for them. We haven't even seen hints of a playstyle that could work from them. Their draft versus Dusty yesterday was pretty much completely countered on last rotation, so we weren't really able to see how that particular composition could work out for them. It's an incredibly difficult question to answer, but we do see where they are comfortable. They're comfortable engaging around bot lane, for example. So then the Kalista kind of makes sense. The Nautilus absolutely absolutely makes sense as like a priority for Kalhira. We see what Aesthetic is comfortable in. He's comfortable farming heavily on himself, and we do see that Monk favors a lot of champions that would give them a degree of map control. But he's going up against Eren. He's going up against the guy who is all about map control, and it doesn't really matter which champion he's given for that. He's mostly done it on melee champions thus far, right? And he'll be contested for his Azir from Monk, and you have to think that Eren's going to know exactly how to counter that as well. And with Kakan, it's very difficult to say where Kakan fits in all of this. Every time that we have seen jungle support rotate towards topside for something on Kakan, typically support's being out of sync with jungle. We don't really know how they want to utilize him. I would expect this to be a team that at its peak would look a lot like Riddle. But that's only something I can say from individually what they've been comfortable with and how that might end up looking. We just haven't seen them really look comfortable on anything as a team right now. But modeling themselves after a team like Riddle is probably going to be the best way that this team can go.
Yeah, and from that narrative too, I feel like that the laners right now does not have the individual talent as they've shown so far. They might develop into it, but so far I haven't seen the pressure coming with it. A lot of the times when I watched Kakan and Monk, it just felt like they conceded the lane and really didn't show any blood or will to fight in it. It seems to me like we're having a team that's not only having a hard time building synergy, but understanding their individual role in the team, and they need to come together soon. If it's just 3 of them, that's fine. I just need some of them to actually show that this is working for us, and then the rest of the pack can kind of just huddle along and they can build up this synergy over time. But it needs to go well for MNM somewhere in the map soon, because it's just not happened yet.
I think from what we've seen, I don't think it would be controversial to say that if Tricked don't absolutely crush this, it would be a huge upset. Just from what we've seen so far from both of these teams, obviously I really want MNM to get into it, and I want them to find their identity, and I want but I think just from what we've seen, this is a Tricked expected win. Look, guys, we are about to head into draft. We've got a quick break. When we come back, we'll have picks and bans.
into a summer night. We're going eye to eye, running to the future blind. Running to the future blind. Nothing really matters.
I do just want to take a moment, guys, to appreciate how clean the NLC Stinger graphic is. Just, you know, I've maybe watched it like 20 times now. I love it every time. Anyway, we're in picks and bans. It is Tristana and Syndra off the board already, and again, Monk being laser focused by the ban phase from Tricked.
No, I'm not seeing off the board yet, all right, Varus, and I'm going to hold my breath until I do see that off the board, and we will have a human game at that exact point. MNM want to play on Giga hard mode, by all means they can do. Oh my god, okay, we're getting dangerously close to me seeing Varus left open. Graves being removed, so one of TF or Azir will be open. Bear in mind, Tricked Esports can opt into the first rotation Azir if they want to. They have apparently got multiple Azir players on their team. This is the only team I'll be able to say that for. Let's see what happens in the last two bans. I expect it to be either TF or Azir on the side of Tricked, and I expect a Varus ban from MNM, but let's see.
I mean, that's going to be the hope with how dominant it really has been when it's left open. And the question is going to be for me, is Monk going to be able to show something else? Because as much as he is going to have one of his picks left open, we saw that happen against Dusty. There was a plan in place for it. They have taken out the Tristana, and that could be just setting up for something later in the draft.
4, 3, I'm out. See ya.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Varus left open, and Varus give it, Varus take it. Here he is.
This is not a good start, Eminem. If you want,
No. I mean, considering that MNM have had such a rough start to the split, I don't think it's justified to leave the Varus open. It's instantly going to cause problems in bot lane. They've already typically had issues in the mid lane. It's just going to make the entire bot side of the map not really a contest for aesthetic. Now, they are looking towards the Kalista to just find something that can challenge it in the all-ins, but if they don't have the jungle assistance, they are just going to get poked out, and Varus spikes so much sooner than the Kalista on those lethality items.
And they've actually forced them to have to pick the TF as well, because they know that their only response to the Varus is the Kalista. It's not even a good response, by the way. And if they leave the TF open, they know Kalista will get countered by the TF as well. Imagine TF plus Varus composition. You're never stepping up into that. It's absolutely impossible for the Kalista at that point, which means that they have gained themselves the most comfortable champion Eren has, the Azir, right there on your screen. Draft immediately over. Well done by Tricked for mind gaming MNM. I'm not quite. I mean, MNM's PayPal is probably getting under investigation right now with how much money that was just dumped on them. They're also going to get the Pantheon. We've seen this flex already from them. It's really interesting to be able to talk about Pantheon or Azir as a flex in this scenario. And this could even be flexed towards jungle. You know, like there are a lot of opportunities. Okay, it's just going to be the Tahm Kench with Varus. This is how Varus used to be paired up. Not quite sure about how I feel about it here, but I think they're just thinking about the pick potential from the Twisted Fate and insulating against that.
Yeah, I think typically we would have expected to see a Thresh in that situation, but Tahm Kench will hand off well against the Thresh that we could typically see from MNM, although Kalira has tended more towards the Nautilus, but now he's coming out with the Blitzcrank, so by showing the hand with the Tahm Kench, this is something that potentially can interact with it. It does put so much pressure on Kalira to perform, though. We saw a situation where Hiva, when the Blitzcrank, they weren't able to find the momentum, and they really just flopped. This is very much going to be around punishing this bot lane, and again, it's a hard dive to pull off, so unless really Tricked is caught with the pants down, I'm not seeing it.
This is comfort for Kalira too. Going back to the Blitzcrank here, you used to have two favorite champions. It was Thresh and it was Blitzcrank, and here we see it actually coming in through the Tahm Kench. Shield does burn through the thick skin too. So I'm really interested to see if finally when this guy is on comfort, and we've seen that barcode has been rested towards the Kalista for 2 times now. I feel like we're maybe starting to see MNM roster that knows what kind of identity they're going for, but let's see as the rest of the draft pans out.
I do actually like the Blitzcrank into Tahm Kench first as well, especially after they removed the movement speed buff from Tahm Kench every time he swallows someone. It's not just as simple as, well, now you're burning Tahm Kench's flash, because Tahm Kench is now committed to staying in the middle of your team if he wants to save whoever it is that you hooked, or you hook Tahm Kench himself. Displacement is typically very good from Tahm versus Tahm Kench, and Blitzcrank is that. I still think there's absolutely no hope when I look at the first pick on blue side, but you know, at least there are some nice responses to other aspects of the draft, just not necessarily the aspects that matter. Maybe if they can just burst and remove Achu from the game on this Varus, that's probably one of the best things they could do. Blitzcrank hook into a stun card from Twisted Fate, then we're going to need to see some burst damage. This has to be an APTF, and we'd want to see a bursty jungler, but they are banning out their own options in that regard, so we'll see what they end up doing.
Yeah, I feel like those coupled with the Elise ban kind of limits Aesthetics' pool for what I'd like to see in terms of threatening early, especially if they're looking towards a dive towards the boss side or looking to facilitate the Blitzcrank and work in tandem with it to see what does come through here. They could just end up blinding a top lane in the situation for Kakan.
Or going Kindred. Kindred is open, or Wukong Blind, I guess, is going to be the pick. Aatrox is open. I'd expect that to be interlocked on the left.
Not necessarily Blind, can be flex. We don't know if Aesthetic actually does that, but it can be, yeah.
Yeah, it can be a Conqueror Conqueror Wukong. We saw Nulti pull that off already in the NLC. Interesting to see what ends up happening here, though. I would assume we're going to see one of Aatrox or Gangplank. Maybe we'll see a more niche pick like Yorick, for example. Okay, or we're going to see something like this without knowing what jungler is being rotated yet. That's very interesting. I think it is very good versus Kalista, and I think it's good versus a low mobility mage as well. This could actually pay a lot of dividends for them. You're just going to have issues early on, given that you do not know what kind of jungler is coming out, and you still have options like Shyvana open, like Karthus open, like Gragas open, that could end up with mixed damage on top side.
Let's see how they round things out. It's going to be the Olaf locked in, and we'll wait for the response here, and we'll get an indication as to where Wukong will be going, either in the jungle or the top side. Feel like the Wukong into Malphite matchup's pretty rough for Wukong, but we'll have to see. I'm obviously just not an analyst, so I'm guessing. But we'll see what they...
Can't go to Yemen.
We'll see what they lock in. It is going to be I'm not going to talk about it until it gets locked in.
I could have talked about Hecarim all day, but they're thinking about getting mixed damage in with the given the fact that they are going up against the Malphite. Hecarim plus Twisted Fate is actually a really, really nice combination. I was happy to see that hovered, but they can't really execute it if they've already willingly given over a Malphite in this regard, given that they have full AD on top side and AD in obviously in the AD carry position. I can understand going to Shyvana here. This is still pretty nice if you're the Azir. And it doesn't really synergize as like part of a poke composition with them. It does give them some form of burst, however, which they're gonna need if they want to remove this Varus from the game. However, there's so much zone control on the left, there's so much burst potential on the left, there's so much poke coming out of the left. I actually think that they have it here. They have priority on bot. They have an Olaf that's going to be able to rush them to that soul as early as possible. And so like VTF, you're not going to be able to slow this guy down, right?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really important if Monk does find his foothold in this game, because I think if they're missing a window where they're threatening bot lane with that TF6, with the Shyvana as well, use that burst potential to put the Varus behind so that you're hitting the one-item spikes at a similar time to the Kalista. If they're not able to do that, I really struggle to see how they're going to find it. And the skirmishing power of the Olaf can really just nip that in the bud. If we do see Shyvana approaching mid lane, if it's read by the Olaf, or if they manage to counteract the dive, I think MNM just don't have a real shot at this after it gets past those early stages.
Well, I think I hope for their sake they do, because it would be devastating for MNM to end up losing here yet again. It would be a lot of soul searching and a lot of improvement needed for the following week if that is going to be the case. It looks like our casters are ready to go for our final game of the week. Let's hand it over.
Thank you very much, Excandrel. Hello and welcome back for our fourth and final game of the week here at the NLC. It's Tricks taking on MNM. And man, MNM are desperate for a win right now. They've been having a very rough start to the season. Trouble, let's have a little talk about MNM before we move on to Tricks. What are the core problems here? What is going wrong for this team?
I think I've talked over and over how I do believe in aesthetic and how aggressive this guy can play, but unfortunately they cannot seem to find a playstyle for aesthetic to fit in. I previously talked about like give this guy one winning lane, and we haven't necessarily seen that from MNM. We've seen them crumble all over the map, and right now I think they've got what it takes. I'm liking, sure, the fact that the Varus went over is kind of really hard to deal with, but when you have that level 6 Twisted Fate, you can make plays all over the map. You can choose to go top, you can choose to go bot lane and accelerate your Kalista, which is what I am really looking at right here, which means that aesthetic will be freed on the map as well with the Twisted Fate. Now, talking about this, Aaron has never been an easy opponent to play against. This guy has such unorthodox paths, and he will sacrifice things in his lane to give back to the team. So I'm waiting to see what he is gonna do with that Azir, which is meant to be picked to pin down the Twisted Fate in lane.
Well, it looks like teams are all heading up towards this bot side, everyone but Aesthetic. As we do have ourselves a quick pause, unfortunately. Won't be too long until that gets sorted, but gives us a little bit more time to before the game starts to kind of do some prep. And I am curious to see what these kind of paths from Aaron are going to be, how he looks to play around that. Because yesterday when we saw Monk playing, he was trying. It wasn't Monk, sorry. I was having a complete brain
That was the one that I was going to mention as well.
Monk was on the Azir, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great for him. I like you said, the level 6 for him, and seeing if he can set Clearer and Barcode up in the bot lane is potentially there. Because I mean, when you've got the Blitzcrank, when you've got the Kalista, you do have the potential post 6 to really make some big plays go down. So we'll have to see what they're going to do about that. But like you said, also Aesthetic is someone we do want to be watching in this game.
The problem between yesterday's and today's Azir is that this Azir is playing against a Shyvana and Twisted Fate. They don't necessarily have any hard CC to lock him down, apart from that yellow card if it lands, and if the Twisted Fate is willing to flash in to make it land. Whilst yesterday we had a Poppy hard engagement onto this Azir. This is not going to happen with the Shyvana here. So I think Aaron will be more free to try and pressure that Twisted Fate further back into the lane, so he's not allowed to teleport and assist his team.
All right, so early levels are the ones I want to watch. Obviously, Aesthetic is a power farmer on the Shyvana, but Soft also the same on the Olaf. And it looks like Tricked are actually looking for a little something here. They're grouping up.
Ooh, invading the Blitzcrank. I like that.
I mean, a little unorthodox. Clearer obviously has no information, so he would never throw a blind hook into there. Uses about a third of his mana. And actually,
oh my
MNM,
God, this is genius.
That was so well played. MNM actually, I think they caught a glimpse of the axe from Soft. Yep. So they were just able to see that go down with that information.
Please hook it. Hook it.
Which means Aesthetic probably will just go for an invade himself.
Oh, man.
That axe, I actually think, cost Tricked that play for like completely blind. MNM actually, pretty good read there.
The reason it went down, it was to make sure that no one was hiding in the bush, because if MNM had actually read that play and they knew about the late invade, that actually Trick has pulled in a lot of instances here in the NLC as well. They literally 1 second before the buff spawns, they will invade the enemy blue or red buff. So if MNM had read this better and waited in there with a few more people, they could potentially punish. So it's okay, because Soft is going to triple buff himself. He's going to be much faster at clearing these camps. And now Aesthetic is going to fall behind, which is the name of the game for Tricked as well. You put Aesthetic behind, you shut down MNM.
Yeah, just beeline from blue buff to make sure that he does secure these triple buffs. There's no way of pushing bot lane that Aesthetic is going to invade and take this red. So for now, a very solid start for Soft on the Olaf. I'll have to see how the rest of it plays, because if you look at the map, Tricked across the board are just pushing in every single lane.
That's very true. And if Olaf is thriving at something, he's getting priority everywhere. Olaf needs lanes to play through, but Aesthetic might have found himself a cheeky gank in the top lane.
Yeah, he's actually looking on to go onto Weisel here. Kakan's going to use the clones to try and get some damage down, but First Blood will fall in the mid as they get the kill in the top. Aaron slays Monk.
That was a straight... I'm not even going to sit on the top lane, gang. That was a straight up 1v1 from Aaron onto Monk. And we have been criticizing the way Monk plays the game in all the games we've seen so far. And yet he ends up getting solo killed by Aaron on that Azir. Aaron, who has been praised for his Azir, he's made multiple guides on how to play this Azir. And right here, he's demonstrating why he's completely scary on that champion.
What was Monk's KDA yesterday? Because it was pretty rough for him, and I feel like it might just become even worse here.
Let's not bring this up now, shall we?
Let's stop maybe looking to make some kind of play going to Monk. Remember, Monk used Flash in that first Blood play. And Aaron's just going to jump in, get the slowdown. Red card's there, but Monk is going to fall. Aaron gets his second kill. 4 minutes into the clock. 2 kills for Aaron. And
oh,
Monk.
boy. Oh no, I'm getting deja vu from yesterday on Monk, and we said that this Kalista Blitzcrank bot lane will most likely work when Monk is level 6, when he has the ability to push his lane, leave and go down there, help his bot lane. Right now we're talking about the Azir dominance in the mid lane. He's going to be able to perma push. He's going to come back with a lot of
that was maybe not the time you wanted to land that hook. PlayStation takes a lot of damage, but Barcode will be run down. A good exhaust and a good flash. Barcode with the martial cadence may be able to get out. Clearer has to flash as well. They finally find their hook, and it's not onto the right target. It's not at the right time. And Trick walk away scot-free.
And honestly, it's pretty hard for Olaf to find setup to gank in the lane. This is why you see a lot of Olaf's power farming and then coming back in, being that menace in the backline. But right here, he has gotten 3 flashes from the bot lane and the mid lane of MNM, which kind of frees him to sort of continuously walk into the lane and throw axe after axe and chase them down. Now, of course, I don't necessarily care about that first dragon, so he's gonna go over to MNM. Small victories here for the side of MNM as well, so you're gonna have to take this. But from now on, it's going to be extremely difficult for the Kalista Blitzcrank to play the lane. It's gonna be extremely difficult for Monk to play the lane, and you see how much he's struggling to push in his waves. He has almost no mana, his teleport is not back up and available, and Aaron can sit there and wave clear day after day.
Kakan went for a little throwaways up, but Azel's just able to deal with him. Now Stopper's looking to make a play happen onto Kakan. Kakan does have that Cyclone in the flash. Axe will connect, Unstoppable Force as well. Kakan pops Cyclone, and he is able to flash away to safety. But it is just all signs tricked right now. They are having a fantastic start to this game.
I was just about to mention that Kakan is the only member that at least still has his Samurai Flash available. Scratch that off the list. It's literally 3 lanes waiting to get ganked by Olaf. You do have setup with the Azir ult, with the Malphite ult, with the Varus ult. Every single lane he chooses to go to is in immediate danger, and aesthetic as well for not having control from his laners.
It may not even just be the lanes.
Oh boy,
This means
is so
Aesthetic
tough.
has had 2 buffs in this game.
This is so hard to watch, honestly. They're literally choking down Aesthetic by shutting down every single lane. It has been a problem of MNM to try and get out of their lanes winning, or even have one winning lane for that matter for Aesthetic to play through. And Aesthetic now being on the AP Shyvana, you need to get that little bit of extra momentum early into the game. You need to get some kills going, you need to get some pressure, and it's nowhere on the map. It's literally 3 lanes pushing for Tricked.
At least MNM were able to get that Cloud Drake. It's a slight... I'm looking for something here, but it is a very, very slight kind of optimistic outlook for MNM. But even so, it is feeling a little hard. Aaron will take this gold card on. He's able to dodge away on the tower shot while
That's all right.
Monk just gets bullied out of the lane.
At this point, I'm thinking that Monk might even have to TP, to use his ultimate to get back to lane, because he's going to lose a big chunk of CS and experience. That is a wave and a half crashing in underneath his tower, and Aaron is nowhere near down. He wants some plays as well.
Yep, it's going to have to Destiny into lane. In comes the Shyvana. The seismic shot is going to be enough to put some distance there, and Monk finds a shutdown.
That was great stuff right there to try and punish Aaron for being a little bit too greedy, staying tiny bit longer for that money from the turret plating, punished instantly. That's a good turnaround right here from MNM. The kill very crucially goes to Aesthetic as well, and they're gonna take control of Rift Herald, try to feed some more money into their carries that are actually starving right now.
Well, that'll be the Herald going down. MNM, that was a good turn of play for them. Get themselves a pick, a shutdown onto the struggling player for their team, Monk. Meanwhile, Aesthetic, you said he was the one, but we needed to keep our eyes out for MNM. Is there to assist with that, gets himself the team, the Rift Herald as well. With that Dragon as well, the neutral objective game so far has been relatively good from the side of MNM. We are now looking at a 200 gold lead. Absolutely nothing.
Oh, this is terrible for MNM. What's happening in the bot lane with the freeze right underneath Trick's tower? That means that Kalista will have no agency to move forward. Still, that flash is not available for her. Neither is it for Kalira. So they need to be extremely cautious. This is why they're not even moving into the lane. They're just gonna go take control of the Scout Crab, try to keep themselves safe. But you see that Eren has all the priority in the world to try and move wherever he likes. We haven't seen a single Monk ultimate outside of his lane, and he's level 8 right now.
Okay, well, the freeze is broken. It is now going to slowly push into the face of MNM.
Is it? There's another wave coming in. They're still going to have to wait. I'm pretty sure there's still a couple of minions, and now they're going to crash it and possibly go for the reset right here. They will also have priority into the river, where the dragon is spawning in 30 seconds. The wave
dragon form.
Is flawless right
Gold
now.
Gold card onto Monk. He's going to look for it. Gets the heal for the stun. Aesthetic looks for the Roar. Half health there, but in comes Soft. Soft's going to turn it around. He's popped the Ragnarok. Monk's got the gold card ready to fire, but he can't find a target. And MNM, they look for the play, and they are punished. Soft with a fantastic counter gank there.
That was great stuff right there from both the junglers. Actually, one for Aesthetic to try and get that extra step in, to try and be the carry for his team. And of course for Soft to actually sniff out the counter gank and go for it. I wanted to honestly praise Trick's bot lane for how they're manipulating the waves, the freeze to deny all VCS before Barcode is in lane, and then shoving it in for the Dragon. Unfortunately for them, there was a gank going on in the mid lane, or they should have had free Dragon priority in the river.
Yeah, it looks like Soft and everyone's able to make their way over. Barcode wanted to go for that Dragon, but was unable to in the end, and that will just be the end of that. Dragon gets picked up. They do find a hook onto PlayStation, though. He's going to take a fair amount of damage. They don't really have anything to back it up as the Destiny actually gets used. Monk! That was maybe not where you needed to be, Chief. You saw where everyone was. Soft's going to take him down. They are looking for a kill onto his shoes. He does find it. The Emperor's Divide's fairly big, though. And now Trick are looking to turn this one around. A wombo combo will secure themselves a kill. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Trick.
Oh my god, it's just too easy with their composition. That Azir going through was so crucial. The Kalista will never be able to reach the backline. Neither is Kakan on that Wukong. You saw the second he dashed in, he was thrown straight back out by the soldiers of the Azir. Sure, Atu might have paid the blood price right there with going down, but it doesn't really matter that much. He was on the other side of the fight. Think of a front-to-back team fight for Trick, and the carry should never be touched.
And then we're able to get some plates, some gold onto Barcode. He is struggling. Let's take a look at the items right now. As the Chu got his serrated very, very close towards that Umbral Glaive. Barcode will be basing up with the longsword and the dagger, but let's have a little look at how that play started.
That was a good hook right there, but Kalira was a little bit too eager with his ultimate and didn't end up breaking the shield from PlayStation. And then Monk TP's in the waiting hands of Olaf and gets completely dismantled instantly. Of course, Atu got on the wrong side of the fight as well. Was also taken down, but at the end of the day, it's a 2-for-1 and a Dragon for Trick, as well as them having the better composition generally here, the better scaling composition towards the late game. So they'll take these any day.
Clear it. I'm sorry, you're dead, buddy. Soft is just going to get himself the easiest kill of his life.
Yeah, this is getting kind of grim kind of quickly, because even though the gold is not necessarily speaking that way, it is all of this scaling that you're gonna see coming in. It is the Kalista that hasn't gotten ahead early into the game. It's on the same money as the Varus. Kalista needs a lot more items to be relevant at spikes in the mid game, while the Varus will always be relevant from start to finish with the poke, especially since there is no health regeneration on the side of MNM or utility for that matter with shields. So,
and also for the Varus versus Kalista, the items for the Kalista are a lot more expensive for him. Obviously, Chu gets very cheap items from these lethality items, and
oh no,
just gonna be able to get himself first turret blood here.
Oh no,
he's not gonna get it off this wave. He'll get it off the next though, and should be able to miss through the wave fairly quickly.
Not the Trinity Force on the Twisted Fate. We're either gonna see the pure AD or the mixed damage onto
They're looking for Wazor here. Spedic's going in. They've got the ultimate. Wazor just jumps in. Gold card connects. Hook goes wide. And Wazor dabs on the way out.
4 members committed in that bot side, and Wazer gets out scot-free. And they're gonna put so much pressure onto that mid lane. Top lane was pushed as well. Again, Trick are in front of the play yet again, and they might be getting themselves a mid lane inhibitor tower, mid lane tier 1 tower, sorry. And this is gonna break the game completely open from now on, because they will be able to move inside MNM's jungle and wreak havoc on the map.
Wow, Claire just got completely chunked. Monk's not going to run someone down with a gold card. Isn't going to find it, though. And you might be partly right. They didn't get the inhibitor tower there, but I'm fairly certain that mid lane inhibitor tower will be falling sometime in this game. Monk was looking for something. He wasn't able to find it, unfortunately, for himself.
Touching a little bit on what we said earlier as well, we talked about how important Aaron was going to be as a very instrumental pawn in this game of chess that Trick is playing, because for me, the way that Trick plays in general looks like chess. There's a new move every time. There's a new pawn that's gonna move forward every time and carry itself. And on one side, it might be Wazer. On the other hand, it might be Aaron. You can see Achu in the bot lane as well. Now, Soph is 2-0-2 onto that Olaf. So it is pretty much a multi-threat team, and it's working so freaking well right here. The strategies, the unorthodox pathings. Here, they haven't necessarily needed to use any unorthodox pathings because they have pretty much been punishing MNM because they read them so well.
Now, come on, Rift Herald. That's like, Trick's actually just grouping multiple people here in the mid lane. They obviously can place the Herald down for pressure, but at this point, I genuinely don't think MNM have the ability to step up. Although Aesthetic wants to. He's moving forward. He's got that ultimate available. Monk's about as well, but they do get a massive chunk onto Kalira. Monk getting the gold card shuffled out as Kakan jumps onto Wazor. They're looking for the gold card onto Aaron. Aaron will get gobbled up and saved by PlayStation. The hero, Catfish, able to save Aaron. Not falling today. PlayStation, that was beautiful.
And they've been trying to catch Aaron every single time. And he gets away with it yet again on 1 HP. They get the dragon. They get the mid laner out scar-free. Well, maybe he got 1 or 2 scars, but at least he's still alive. And they get pressure around the map. So as you can see right here, Aaron was the one that was pretty much stopping the entire MNM from coming in. And at some point, Monk had enough. He's like, it's fine. We'll take him out of the picture. Even if we lose the dragon, then we can turn this around with the Azir not anymore being in this fight. But that's not how it panned out to be, because it was excellently played by an Azir expert here.
With that, the gold lead is still 2,000. It's close, but like you said, the gold lead doesn't really reflect the actual state of the game. Trick just have so much pressure and so much control over the map. And you can see MNM just too scared to step forward.
Oh my god. 1.6k difference gold onto that Azir. You can see that most of the difference in the gold lead that you're seeing on the top of your screen is sitting in Aaron's hands, and it couldn't be a better player at the moment just because he's playing his beloved Azir. This guy is a master on this champion. He's been displaying it here the entire game, and I think he died only once when he overextended greedily for that last plate in the mid lane tower.
Yeah, but also I feel like it's not just Aaron who's kind of won it. Obviously, he got the solo kill, first blood, but like level 2. Might have to hold off for here. Kakana and Spedic are looking for something onto Wazor. Spedic's going to use the ultimate. Chu throws out there his ulti though, and Kakan very, very low. They are actually able to get something. PlayStation comes in with the Abyssal Voyage. Spedic gets chunked out, and Monk looking for the gold cup, but unable to find it. Look for Soft though over that wall, trying to see if he can find himself a monkey. Misses the axe as he goes for the recall. Monk now has that gold card, and they're looking to surround him on all fronts. Aesthetic just pops the ultimate, and he's looking for a kill. Can't quite find it. Aesthetic's able to use the fancy dancing to move away, and Kakan, he might find himself caught out. The hook goes a little bit wide. Monk's got that gold card ready to fire. The tower will finally crumble. Barcode has to just step away.
Oh, here comes the Rift Herald. MNM are continuously trying to find fights to just stop that insane tempo that Trick have on the map right now. They're just literally running every lane down, and this Rift Herald could potentially take a boop onto the inhibitor tower that I mentioned a couple of minutes earlier.
This is feeling so rough for MNM here. They've still got the Herald to siege with. Kakan's going to look for the hook, and he hooks the minion. Are they going to get another charge out here? No, they don't. Okay. That was a little scary. MNM at 19 minutes lose their bot lane inhibitor tower. Baron spawning up in 15 seconds.
Oh my god, this is a game that is so not reflective of the kill and gold difference right now, because let's say it as it is, MNM are screwed right now. They know that they're never gonna be able to surpass the power of the Tricked composition. And even if they do, let's say everyone scales better on MNM than Tricked, but the Azir is there, and that's a very crucial part, because you'll never be able to reach anyone.
There they got the blast gun. They actually do find themselves a hook onto PlayStation. He uses the cleanse and that tongue lash. Soft looks to chase Barcode down. Barcode just has to flash away.
Oh.
Monk uses the Destiny. He might look for someone here. Khan is on that flank, but they just bolt underneath their tower. Maybe the Destiny was used for a little bit of vision just to make sure they were in the safe. Wazor doesn't have his teleport, and he is bot lane, remember? I don't feel like that's too much of a problem.
I think that was a clever move by Monk right there to pop the Destiny, because you know that Wazor is down there in the bot lane. You know that he had just expanded his teleport, so he can't join the fight, and you're extremely immobile onto that Twisted Fate. You never want to be playing anywhere near that Malphite. So it was great for him to pop it there.
Oh, that was not the hook you wanted to land. Clara, you will be full pulled in by the Fate's Call. The Barcode will pay the price. He gets chunked. Aaron flashes forward, secures himself the kill. Aaron is just a beast on the Sand Pigeon. The Spedic is looking to turn it back around onto him. They get the Cyclone, they get the Wombo combo, secure themselves the kill, but now Sop and Wazor chasing onto the Dragon, chasing onto Kakan. The second Cyclone gets popped, but he's already lost his jungler. Achu gets gobbled up by PlayStation, and Kakan nowhere to go. Will get taken down as Sop finds himself a double kill. This will be the tier 2 crumbling to Trick.
Apparently a dragon and a monkey are stronger than a sand pigeon here, Brain. But the entirety of the dream, of course, comes to his aid, and this is what we talked about, that the gold difference is not reflective of the power right here.
He had to flash, overcharge, ignite, but he got the kill, finds the hook. Barcode now thinking some damage into Wazor, but they get a massive ultimate. PlayStation's trying to find a little bit more. Monk heals, has that gold card. They got the teleport coming in. They're out of there while the Dragon was secured by Soft. Their one-off Infernal Soul. This is feeling just doomed for MNM.
This is actually entertaining. I'm liking that Kalhira is like, screw this, man. I'm just gonna go in and kill Achu. I think Achu is the recipient of all the death shot here. He's the one holding the pouch of the deaths, and he's cashing it in. But someone, unfortunately, always has to pay the price. And there they were a little bit more over-eager to try and get yet another inhibitor tower close to that 20-minute mark and got instantly punished. Now, the problem for MNM is that sure, they're only 3,000 gold behind, but there is a Dragon Soul that's gonna come up, and it's gonna be an infernal Dragon Soul.
Definitely really weirdly used by Monk. I feel like he just wanted to use it because he had it.
Yeah.
But now, Sand Soldiers was sent forward to get the kill on to the Crab, secured that area. Tricks do need to place some more wards down if they want to do this, Baron. They have a very quick one because of that Azir. And obviously because of the Olaf, but they don't really have the vision to play with on it, so it's a little dangerous for them to just blind do the pit. MNM still do have a fair amount of damage to work with, so you want to be a little careful somewhat, but it looks like now they're feeling comfortable. They've seen Klikan on the bot side, they've seen Monk on the top side, and MNM,
They're
now
pulling
just
the
looking to see if they can see anything, but...
It's a two-man Baron with the Olaf and the Azir. This is what you love to see, man.
Barker gets chunked and clearer. He's just easily taken down. Weasel does have that charge if he wants to use the Unstoppable Force. Monk has a gold card. We'll land it onto one. PlayStation just gobbles him up. I don't think it was even necessary. Monk does negative damage, actually.
They're just gonna go back to it. They're just gonna be attempting to do that Baron over and over again until they at some point catch Aesthetic off guard and kill him off completely. They only need two members there.
Good Cyclone. Forces the flash out. Doesn't get that second knock-up as Kakan goes a little bit low. In goes Aaron with a massive shuffle. Aesthetic getting chunked out and Stop is unstoppable.
But literally just said all they need to do is bait Aesthetic in so they can kill him off and go back to the Baron unharmed because there's no smite available for MNM, and it actually works.
Monk has to make this work. Can't actually get himself into the pit. As Clear is looking for the hook. Isn't going to quite land it. Weasel goes straight over the wall. Barco gets pulled in. The fate's cool. And Clearer is out of there. Monk in the wrong position. Can't even help his team. He's just going to have to teleport away to safety. MNM just looks scattered, look disjointed. And this is what Goldborg was hitting on the desk. He was saying that MNM don't really seem to understand their identity, or kind of their players don't really understand their role in the team. And it just feels like everybody is playing their own game right now.
See, what I'm saying right here in general as a draft is Monk wanting to split push, because you said they do have a bunch of damage. I will actually disagree. I don't necessarily think they do. Right here, I was just saying that they only need two people on the Baron, so the other three can actually play around with MNM, and a beautiful ulti by Eren seals the deal for Aesthetic right there. Going back to Monk on that Twisted Fate, and I know I'm talking about Monk a lot, but he has been the focal point for MNM because he hasn't necessarily been performing that well. Going onto that AD build, you don't necessarily have that much damage onto your hands when you land that gold cap because you need the auto attack. So here, right here, he's filling in his pouch of death.
Eren does actually get killed there by Aesthetic. Our superstar players for each team going 1v1, but with the Baron, Trick's just going to be able to take another inhibitor tower. Chain of Corruptions went out for IQ, doesn't actually quite land it onto anybody. Weasel wanting to push up here.
It was a warning shot. It's the next one that's going to land hit right now.
Oh, I see.
Uh-huh.
Weasel, he's just so confident. He takes literally no damage right now. They're going to lose a mid lane inhibitor. Looks like Tricks are just going to rotate everybody over to this bot side, get this inhibitor for themselves. Infernal Soul spawning up in 25 seconds, and MNM recognize this is the time to do or die. They get the silence. Monk's looking for the Destiny onto the backline, looking for a chew. Gold card will land, but PlayStation just gobbles him up, and now Monk is the one who's caught out. MNM are still fighting, though. It's Aesthetic being chased down by Stop. Stop in the middle of the team, finds himself one kill. Now he's looking for Barco and misses out on the axe. They do get the bop up there, and Barco's trying to pull the rend out, but he can't quite find the kill. He has to flash away. Trick to teleporting members in. They're looking to continue the fight here. That's going to be the knock-up. They do get themselves a shutdown onto Weasel, but Eren still way too tanky. Tower number 1 has fallen down. They've got the minions. They've got the Baron. The Sand Soldiers are put up, and Tricked will take down this tower. They will take down this Nexus. MNM had nowhere to go in this game. It was just complete dominance by Tricked.
And I felt like Trick got this win and they really enjoyed playing the game as well. It felt like an easy game overall for them, I'm not gonna lie. Everyone kind of got the champions that they wanted to play. Soft on the Olaf popped off. Wazer was having so much fun being rock solid and no one could even tickle this guy in the top lane. And Eren on that Azir, I mean, didn't he display enough how well he can play this champion?
Aaron
for the other
was
teams that are going to
so
go
good.
against him, they're going to have to ban it out. And at this point, I'm looking at an MNM and I'm scratching my head. They need to make something happen in one of their lanes because everything seems to be falling apart.
Also, I want to give a big shout out to Soft. I think Soft really enabled his team there. Aaron obviously looked stellar, but he was playing versus Monk, who it's fair to say Monk has had a really, really rough season so far. I mean, I know we're only in week 2, but I'm not sold on this role swap for him at the moment. You know, he switched here because he said he was able to kind of provide more to the team from a shot calling aspect from when he was previously an AD carry. And at the moment, it doesn't look like there's much shot calling going on. The team's so disjointed and everyone's kind of doing their own little thing. And, you know, there's a lot of talent on this MNM roster. A lot of these players are incredibly good, but they're just not falling into the right place. The chips aren't in the right position for them at the moment. And
I mean, honestly, when you're the shot caller and you're the one who's behind, it is really hard to understand the power of your team to make a call. Because if you're falling tremendously behind, like Monk did here, it's so hard to make the calls for an engage knowing that you are weak. So you need more voices in the team to say, this is my power spike. If we get a window there, we fight.
Well, with that, Tricks were able to get themselves another win on the board. Now, guys, we are going to cut to a quick break, and when we're back, our analyst desk will break down that 4th game. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you after the break.
just be dreaming? Think I saw a ghost. Or was it an angel of the past that we all know? Ain't got the answers, but I hold the hope. So I'm holding on to the love, embracing the unknown. Now I'm dancing.
Yeah, that was a tough watch. It was pretty disastrous again. There is definitely a lot of recouping to be done here by MNM. Where do you want to start? You tell me where you guys want to start. Should we start with how Tricked played, or do you want to start with a little bit of how MNM played?
Well, they didn't lose the game at 10 minutes, so I'd say it actually went slightly better than their previous matchups, but mid lane still a problem. Solo kill coming out from Aaron, and then when the wave bounces, they come back for a regank. We talked about how we needed to see the pressure come down to the bot lane, get this Kalista Blitzcrank in a comfortable position before the virus just takes over with his item spikes. They weren't able to do so, and then as a result, it really felt like it was Trick's game from there on out.
And they just still look so uncoordinated, despite he's a perfect example for it. You have the bot lane going for a kill and archery down towards the bot side, which is fine, really. But then Kakar wants to go in to get the aesthetic on top of the top side. And then instead of just trading 1-for-1, you're just giving them the lead again and again and again. And it's just what keeps happening. And yeah, we needed to see some pressure coming in from the bot lane. I mean, the pressure they gained was that they wouldn't die. But we still need so much more for them, really, especially when you let the virus be open and you've practiced and prepared the Kalista pick and you're just not able to do anything with it. Yeah, I don't even know what to say with it.
On the flip side, like, this was a much more lane dominant version of Aaron rather than being the perma roamer that we saw in the previous games. He understood that his job was to prevent Twisted Fate being able to inhabit all of the other lanes that he had, which are already winning setups for him. So long as he could control Monk in mid lane, which, everyone and their mums can right now, he knew that he was fine. He also adapted his build path based on the composition he was in. He knew he didn't have consistent DPS coming out of any other role. So this composition wants to both poke and use their heavy burst to end fights ridiculously fast, rather than opt into a prolonged DPS level engagement of which he would be the only participant. So this was actually a rare scenario where Luden's Rush was actually really good, but you can expect nothing less from an Aaron Azir. This was his one trick. This was the champion that he made his name on in EU solo queue. I expect it to be more heavily contested in the future, but given that he opened with Pantheon and he's opened with Set already, there are a number of things now that people have to be worried about when they deal with Aaron, and that makes him a force to be reckoned with in the NLC.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about him being one of the new superstar mid laners that we need to keep our eyes on coming from this particular league. Now, I actually have Soph ready to talk to me. Yeah, pleasure to talk to you, Soph.
Hi.
Congratulations on your win. Obviously, this is you've had a really good start to the NLC so far, and this is just continuing that run. I think I want to just go on to that point of Aaron. I want to continue that discussion, because your solo laners in general, they have been very impressive. I think, as a part of your roster, they seem really dynamic. What is it like playing with these guys, and what are they offering to your team?
They're both crazy. I mean, when we pick a champion champ select, sometimes we don't know where it's going. Sometimes it's going top, or sometimes it's going mid. It's like a massive benefit to our coach, who I think had restrictions before in draft, just from all of the roles really, who has now freedom to do what he wants in draft. So we've come, like, for example, yesterday's draft was really spicy. I mean, you looked at the enemy team and it kind of looked scary in isolation, but then when you looked at our team, I don't think it was like actually losable for us at all, just because of our range and poke. And I think having the early set flex provided that. We didn't decide if it was going mid, top, or like support at that point, but then once we saw the Cog Lulu, we decided to put Zigspot instead to win that lane. So I think both of them provide like massive strengths in draft, and yeah, basically it's just a big win for us.
Yeah, your drafts have been super flexible, and generally been one of the huge winning points in your games as well. I think I want to talk about you as well, because obviously you've had a lot of experience across a lot in the UK scene as well. Obviously, I've cast you for many years as well.
Yeah.
We always thought of you as like the early game jungler. Like, I always say like your name for me is like Elise. You and Nolty, I just think Elise pretty much all the time, right?
Yeah.
So you are obviously changing your style up a little bit. Is that something that you're actively trying to do to give yourself more breadth?
Yeah, I guess so. I think the jungle meta right now is very farm heavy just because of the XP changes to the camps and the respawn timer went down to 2 minutes. I think there's a time and place for ganking junglers. I think last week against Dusty we had the Elise Pantheon because we saw a chance to have a really strong mid jungle 2v2 by flexing the Azir top due to Wazor's pull. But this week we focused on a lot of the farming junglers. We picked the Shyvana into the Graves, which I think is a decent matchup, and we pinched the ganking pool in this champ select, so Aesthetic couldn't really gank bot too much, and we left him with basically just really the Shyvana pick, which Olaf wins that matchup. So we split the map early and to take advantage of that. I think in general I'd say I'm flexible. People probably think I've got a small pool, but yeah, I definitely play like both the path and farming junglers and the gankers for sure.
Yeah, but you're already changing my view of you, to be honest, Sof.
Okay,
I used to always see you as the Elise guy, but obviously you've got a hell of a lot more in your wheelhouse. I think also just looking ahead, your next 2 weeks, you have Fnatic and Munster, arguably going to be your biggest tests in this group coming up. Without giving away too much, have you guys got a specific way that you're dealing with them? Are you guys planning specific strategies for both of those teams?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I think we're going to definitely focus on ourselves, and then once we get closer to the game, we usually prep for the enemy team. From what I've seen personally so far, Munster look a lot more aggressive in that early game, though the match yesterday was a bit crazy from both sides. I was initially more scared of Munster than Fnatic for sure, but it seemed that Fnatic are stronger, but Munster didn't have the best draft yesterday. I think we're just going to prep for them like we do every other team, and just mainly focus on ourselves, and then try to, we'll see what we do against them. I don't want to reveal too many strats, but yeah, we've got some stuff that works. Yeah,
that's good to know. And stuff I actually haven't had the chance to chat to you in an interview before. It's really nice to chat, and so I really hope you have success in the future. And,
you too. Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Actually, the one thing I took away from the interview is just how switched on Sof is about the game. I don't know. I get that impression that he's really kind of switched on about the theory behind the game and his picks as well. And that's nice to hear from a jungler, to have the brain behind it as well.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed very, very comfortable being more verbose about the game than some other people that we had. But he also is speaking English as a first language, right? But it was really nice to hear how passionate he was about the team. Everyone that we've had from that team so far is very, very excited about the prospects that they are involved with right now, and they all seem to have a lot of faith in their own abilities. I like that he said that they're actually just going to focus on their own playstyle first, and then consider the specific playstyle of Fnatic and Monster Gaming as a secondary. We don't really know what styles those teams fit into anyway, and you know what, it's working out for these guys right now. You know, they haven't dropped a game yet. They don't have any reason to think that they should do anything less than focus specifically on their current style and try to fine-tune it and try to refine it, and make sure that they themselves are the best team, a best version of themselves possible. Sounds like a platitude, but honestly, you need to be a master of yourself, because no one else can be a master of you in that regard. And if you understand yourself better than any other team does, and you play your League of Legends, they're going to have to be the ones adapting, right? And you can make that really hard for them and always be a decision ahead.
Yeah, I like I said, it's really nice to see Tricked, I think, stepping up to the plate. And like, I love the fact that we aren't seeing like a 2-horse race in every group. It doesn't feel that way at all. And it really does feel like we've got a huge competition in every group here at the NLC. Now, let's have a brief look back at the matches today. We've got some highlights and replays to bring your way. And I guess we can kind of work through and give you a brief overview of those stories. Let's start off with the first, and this was the Ents versus Singularity match. I feel so long ago that we were looking at this, but obviously the Ents really came out swinging here, Gilbog.
Yeah, we had a bad time, sorry.
Orcs. I meant orcs.
Well, I mean, it's skipping through games right now. Actually, on the Godsend Riddle game here, and we saw the attempt to imitate the Mad Lions LEC, where they're looking to punish the Varus. Weren't able to do so, and this was really the most interesting match for me of the day, because we had Riddle in this sort of high tier expectation in the top 4. They managed to beat XL, and then Godsend just dismantled them in that match. And I mean, part of the aspect was leading the Varus Open, but the gameplay was there as well to follow up.
I do also think the Varus being left open kind of masks a bit more of what's making Godsent pretty good right now. Like Godsent, for example, also were able to secure themselves the Thresh. They were able to secure themselves a champion that works really well with split map scenarios and works really well if you're going to lean more heavily away from your bot lane once mid to late game comes out, because of that dark passage and because of just how tanky that champion is in general, right? Like it isn't like the enchanters. You can leave it alone, you can play away from it. It does actually help you do so himself. So I think even if you do remove the Varus from the equation, you do have to start thinking, how good is this support player with the playstyle that we're doing on Godsent, and is that something that other teams could maybe expose from us? Because the one enchanter game they played went absolutely horribly, and maybe if you force them on a pick like that, it doesn't go so well for them like it has been going before.
In general, also just like that, we finally started to see some teams just say, okay, let's see what you can do without Champion, and then still Champion pulls out the Jace instead. And obviously Varus played a big part in that, but I also think it shows that this is not only a team that is just through Champion. They are a one cohesive unit, and they did it very well today, as you can see on your screen right now.
Yeah, the coordination was really good, and how they approached the fights, obviously utilizing those poke tools and having the follow-up to sort of ensure that. And then this was our last game of the day, which we just saw Tricked against MNM, and it's just back to the drawing board once more, trying to get over that mid lane issue for MNM, but they showed more life, and that's the thing I think we need to highlight. MNM are not in a good spot right now, but it's not about winning every game, it's about making progress from last week, and hopefully next week we'll get to see a little bit more from MNM.
Next game will be better.
I mean, there's
carry.
I mean, there has been a phrase that has been in the hallowed halls of EUS solo queue ever since season 5, all right? Ever since Rat IRL christened him in his initial games on Lucian before the Cogmore was even in place, all right? Monk will carry, all right? And I want to focus on the will there, all right? Because it's not that Monk would carry, all right? It's not past tense, all right? Monk wasn't going to carry last week, certainly. It's not Monk's going to carry today. It's not present tense, all right? And obviously he wasn't going to carry today. But at some point, Monk will carry. That's just an inevitability, and everyone has known that for half a decade at this point. And I still believe, Monk, all right? I still believe in the experiment, all right? I still believe that one day, Monk, you will carry. Your greatest enemy is yourself right now, and I think you can kick that guy's ass, all right? Everyone else has so far, so why not you as well?
Maybe he will carry again, but maybe it's when he roll swaps back to AD. Let's see what time shows, right? But yeah, it's certainly been some interesting games today, and as we said, MNM did start to feel like they are making a bit of a progress, but it's still the same thing to me. It does look like they're lacking some kind of identity, but you can't take anything away from Tricked either. They are really pulling themselves together to be a really nice team. I like the way they're playing. I like the way they're flexible with their picks. I like this trust in each other. After we just spoken to Soft here, it's really clear to him. It's really easy for him to ask or to answer these questions we're giving him. And I just think it really gives you the impression that Tricked is just a really nice unit right now.
Yeah, I think so too. And speaking of Tricked and obviously in looking over the games in general, let's have a look at the standings. They are updated for you now. We can go through our Group A and Group B standings, and we'll have a look here. Group A, obviously, it's actually pretty even now. BTXL, Riddle, Nordavin, and Godsent all tied for between 1 and 4. Ents picking up a win puts them 1 place ahead of Team Singularity, the only team now without a win in Division A. Let's look over at Division B here. And you will see that Tricked are 3-0 in the group right now. The only team in our league to currently be 3-0. So they currently hold the title, I guess, as the best team in the league, just by pure standings. But obviously, Fnatic are yet to play their game. 1-on-1 for Dusty and Munster Rugby and Barrage, and MNM down at the bottom at 0-2 and 0-3, respectively. So those are the standings, guys. And obviously, looking forward to next week. Just to tell you about the matches that we've got coming up next Tuesday, we have Dusty versus Fnatic to kick things off, Barrage versus Munster, Riddle versus Nordavin, which I think, again, going to be a great game, XL versus Singularity, and then on the Wednesday, we have Ents versus Godsent, Munster versus Dusty, the big one, Fnatic versus Tricked, and then MNM versus Barrage. So we've got plenty of good games coming up next week. I want to give a big thanks to my analysts, Orcs, Gulborg, and Veteran. You have all been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. And guys, we'll see you next week.